Welcome, everybody, to a very, very special and, should I say, live edition of the 1901 podcast. I'm Ken Rashad. He's Thomas Griffin. And Griff, I'm telling you, man, this is a this is a good day. This is a good day. Um, I don't know if a number of people have been probably watching Sunday football, watching the Saints, but I couldn't do anything but to go ahead and give this an opportunity for us to take a look at the highlights from last night. Grambling's overwhelming beatdown of Jackson State last night, 41-20. And before we get into the meats and bones of it, Griff, just tell me your initial thoughts of the game last night.
I thought it was a big win for Grambling. It's been a while since we've had a big win against a solid Jackson State team coming in. I thought we played well and all defensively again with the takeaways and our ability to create opportunities was outstanding. And as long as they give that type of effort defensively, I think we're going to be fine this year, and it looks to be like the coaching staff has finally turned the corner on what the possibility that Grambling could be something much greater than what they've been in the previous years.
So let me ask you this, Griff, and again, we highlighted this building up to the game. You know, there was a lot of hype, a lot of anticipation between the two teams coming in 2-1. We saw what Jackson had done up to this point. They battled, with ULM, which is an FBS school, low level FBS, but nevertheless, they made the most out of it. Couldn't quite get over the hump. I think it's safe to say they had a pretty overwhelming win over Southern. And then, of course, they played, I believe, Lane College, and that was a pretty convincing win as well. And then when you put in consideration what Grambling had done up to this point, little lopsided victory, losing to Lafayette, they managed to bounce back. They got the win against Tuskegee, even though a lot of us were kind of skeptical about how that turned out, given, that literally was a tale of two halves. And then we saw what happened in the overtime win last week in Commerce with Texas A&M Commerce. And so obviously there's a lot of hype, a lot of anticipation of these two teams coming in this game 2-1. There was even the possibility of a sellout. And Dr. Travion Scott was saying that there's the possibility of a sellout, and it turns out wasn't an official sellout, but I believe attendance was something like 19,058. And when you put in consideration that the official capacity of Robinson Stadium is 19,600, based on what I've seen in a lot of the guys that have come out from time to time. We were less than 600 tickets short of a sellout. So it was a very festive atmosphere last night. A lot of people came out, but when it was all said and done, 41-20, this just simply wasn't the game that I think a lot of people, and I'll admit, maybe I was a little surprised. I didn't think this would be a 21-point drubbing. Now, granted, there are a lot of things we can dissect, and we'll get into that. We'll make sure we get into that. But before we do, for those of you who are watching, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this very live edition of the 1901 podcast. If you haven't done so already, we're growing operation here. So take a moment to like the page, subscribe to the channel, and by all means, if you like, support the cause by going to the 1901podcast.com. Make a small donation, even become a monthly supporter, and help us grow this channel and allow us over time to be able to do some pretty solid and amazing things for the university. And again, this isn't just about sports. This channel is anything and all things Grambling. All right. So support us and let's move on. So Griff, and again, we'll get into the X's and O's, but just tell me what your personal thoughts and your views were about this game going into it. Not necessarily the game itself, but what were your initial thoughts?
Well, going into the game, you know, for a long time, Grambling and Jackson State had always been at the top of this conference. It had always been a big rivalry game. I mean, if you just look at the history of this game, you have to understand that both teams came in understanding what was at stake. Now, did it have anything to do with, whether or not the West, any bearing on the West or the East? No, not exactly. But I did know that the winner of this game would be propelled to another level in terms of confidence going into East SWAC, East and West SWAC play. I knew that much. And what you have to understand also is that, you know, you're talking about two traditional black college powerhouses. And so it was good to see Grambling come out and do what needed to be done on both sides of the ball in order to establish that they're here to contend and to play and to try to get back into championship or to have championship aspirations. That is what I saw, is a team that came in ready, poised to make plays on both sides of the ball, which led to us winning by 21 points.
Yeah. So when you go back to the game, Grambling rushes out to a 14-0 lead in the first quarter,
Yeah,
and it appeared at that point that all cylinders were just a go. It appeared as if the team couldn't do any wrong.
right.
And then all of a sudden, Jackson managed to find a way to bounce back, primarily through the running game, which, to be
Yes,
quite honest with you, I'm a little surprised that they didn't really stick with that a little more than they did. But it was the ground game that allowed them to put them in a position to where, for at least 2 quarters, they were pretty competitive. Your thoughts about the first quarter in and of itself?
I had saw Jackson State previously play, and I knew that they were very strong in terms of running the ball. I saw them run the ball extremely well against Southern, and I just assumed, like you, they were going to continue to run the ball because I knew that their passing game or their quarterbacks were shaky. I said it from day one that they were lacking in that area, and they did nothing to prove me wrong or to show me that yes, we can move the ball through the air. We had a couple of breakdowns. One time the defensive back fell down, and the guy was able to take it to have a big play in terms of passing. And then they had a second big play, a long run, catch and run against us. But besides that, they were not able to be consistent, and we were able to take not just create a turnover. We were able to take that turnover and get it into the end zone, and that was huge. That 14 points was huge. Anytime your defense can score 14 points, I'm willing to bet that your chances of winning probably go up astronomical,
Yeah.
because most teams don't score defensively like that.
Yeah, and the reason why those defensive scores were so important or so crucial is because at that point, like I said, we started to witness the offense tend to. It looked like it was a lot like we saw in that Tuskegee game in that second half, where they were literally struggling and not even doing. We saw this often during the A&M Commerce game last week. It appeared that the offense struggled to score points, and in many instances, when whether it was the pick six or whether it was the scoop and score, those opportunities or those scores came in at a time when Jackson State had a lot of momentum going for them at that particular point. And one of the jarring statistics that uh, which I still find fascinating, that even after 2 weeks, is Grambling's defense leads the nation in takeaways. And when you're doing that, and here we are, what, 4 games in at this point, it's not just a coincidence at this point. There is something fundamentally that the coaches are teaching that are putting these defensive players in a position to be able to do the things that they're doing.
Absolutely. I Anytime you have aspirations of being a conference champion, being a divisional champion, or even being a Celebration Bowl champion, you need playmakers. You
Mhm.
need takeaways. Takeaways give your offense a maximum opportunity to be efficient. When you take an offense and you put them in the red zone 3, 4 times a game, literally you should get no. I mean, if you kick all field goals, that's 9 points. And if you get if you're able to parlay that into 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns, that is a huge advantage. I don't care who you play, I don't care what level you're on. Takeaways that place your offense in a short field gives you an opportunity to be a championship team. If this is the new trend at Grambling, I'll take it. 5 takeaways a game is
that
awesome.
that is
It's
that is that
outstanding.
is
And me as a defensive player at Grambling, playing middle linebacker for Grambling, at no point in time. I mean, we were pretty good. We were pretty good at getting off the field on third downs, but we would not. We would not.
yeah.
Every time we caught an interception, it did not result in a touchdown or us being deep in the red zone for our offense. So I applaud what they're doing as a unit. It's outstanding.
We've got some stats up from the games that one of the things that I found out to be pretty fascinating was and Griff, I'm gonna just tell you now, man. As happy as I am with the win, there is a part of me that is still, I'm just gonna go ahead. It's time to kind of address the 900-pound gorilla that's in the room. Look at here's the stat line. And I look at total offense, in which Jackson State had 438 yards total offense compared to Grambling's 271.
Yes,
Now, 438 total yards. I mean, on any given night, depending on the situation of the game, that's good enough to win a game.
it is. And
And you can say that J State self-inflicted, that now granted there were those there were some takeaways. There was the pick six, and then there was the fumble, but then there were some, I think, the quarterback, I think, botched a snap that in which he fumbled. There were some instances, that they kind of did themselves that kind of put them in that situation. But and I go back to the fact that they, the running game, and I'm still kind of fascinated by the fact that the 190 yards and that. Now, granted, some of those big runs were there was one big run that came back due to an illegal shift penalty. I didn't see it, but it was what it was. But talk to me about what Jackson State was able to do, especially on the ground. And so here's the question: the fact that they were able to be as effective as they were with their collection of running backs on the ground, was that a compliment to or a credit to J State's running backs as opposed to us having problems on defense and run game, defending the
I
run, or what?
I saw that matchup as them having a they have, if they had one advantage on Gramblings, they were huge up front. Grambling, I mean, they were just. Uh, I thought J State was very physical at the point of attack, and I think they got a stable of really good running backs. I also thought that them using their quarterbacks to also support the run was very efficient as well. So they did. I mean, they did some good things in terms of running the ball. They were able to run the ball against. I watched the University of Louisiana
Yeah,
Monroe game. They were able
ULM.
to move
Yeah.
the ball effectively against a Division I opponent. So I knew going in that's what Grambling had to limit or take away. I had no idea that we would have, the amount of takeaways we did, which was able to neutralize what Jackson State. I still believe if Jackson State get consistent play, the possibility exists that they can still be in the SWAC championship. But it was good to see us compete at a level where we at least understood the assignment and was able to make enough plays in order to neutralize what they were doing to us offensively.
Yeah, because I feel the need to keep echoing this point. That game last night was not a it was a non-conference game, even though it's a SWAC opponent.
Yes,
The game does not count towards the SWAC standings. And I had this conversation with someone this morning, and because someone made the comment along the lines that it's just simply that everything is all downhill now. And I say to that, tap the brakes. Um,
please.
as far as I'm concerned, the granted, we are 3-1 for the first time since 2017, which is great. But all we've done up to this point is complete the non-conference schedule. Okay.
Yes,
What we've done up to this point has absolutely no impact whatsoever on winning the SWAC championship. The
nope,
game Saturday against Prairie View, this Saturday coming at the Cotton Bowl, that is the first conference game of the year, and pretty much all of the games the rest of the way are have SWAC implications on that. So just so we know, and I don't want to look too far ahead, but the way I see it, you got Prairie View, and then you've got Alcorn State. And in the interim, and I don't want to look too far ahead, but I think those are the two key games that Grambling needs to get past before anyone can start any semblance of a conversation talking about looking downhill.
that's
Um,
correct.
so granted, we're all happy. We hadn't been 3-1 in a long time, but let's just be careful about putting the cart before the horse, because as far as I'm concerned, the real season, the season that matters, the games that matter, it starts this Saturday against Prairie View.
Absolutely. The
So
biggest game, uh, the big it's often said amongst coaches, the biggest game of the year is the game that you're about to play. It is not
right.
the game. It is not the Bayou Classic. It is not three games. Looking forward instead of looking at today's opponent or this weekend's opponent is foolish. We're not clicking on all cylinders like that. What we need to do is to get our running game going. We need to get more variety in our offense. We've got to have an offense capable of scoring at will. And right now we're not there. We came out,
Mhm.
we looked that way for the first two series. Then after that, we went into a lull where we were unable to move the ball consistently. We did some good things second half by way of the run and a couple of plays that we made in the flats, passing wise, but we have to do more of that and we need to be more consistent at it. Now, defensively, we gave up too many chunk runs. We gave up too many big plays in terms of guy catching a 7 yard slant and running for 70 yards. That's we've got to eliminate that. I mean, all coaches and players should be in pursuit of the perfect game. We have not played a perfect
Mhm.
game. We've done well to take away the ball, but what we have to do is we got to figure out a way where we can say we had 4 quarters of solid football. Okay, and Ken, when only then will I be, or any other fan should be, in a celebratory position or take a celebratory stance, because there's much work to do on both sides of the football. We all know it.
Yeah, yeah. So let's dive in a little deeper and let's talk about individual performances. Miles Crawley, preseason All SWAC Player of the Year, had a stat line which threw for 167 yards on 16 attempts. Excuse me, completing 16 out of 28 attempts. Did have one pick and was sacked 2 times. Talk about the play of Miles Crawley.
I thought uh, he did some good things with understanding that he needed to use his legs. I always say you have to take what the defense gives you. Uh, I I sometimes am concerned with the amount of um, fly routes or go routes that we throw, but I mean, you have to sometimes, if that's what the coach is advocating for, that's what you have to throw. But I still would like to see us utilize more crossing routes. I would like to see us get the ball out of his hands quicker. I did see that we did some sprint outs, some additional sprint outs, but in order for him to continue to be I want him to be super efficient and effective. And I think the way that we do that is that we are able to one, keep him upright, and two, I think we need to use some sprint out. Now, one thing I'm going to give Grambling credit for, when we got in the red zone, we actually put Crowley under center so that when he hands the ball off, he's not 6 yards back, then hands it off to a person that's
Mhm.
7 yards back just to run 5 yards forward to try to get in the end zone. I just feel like we can be so much more efficient in putting him under center, and to see Grambling make that adjustment was great because we were able to get it inside in the red zone.
What do you think about the performances of the running backs? Now, Trey
Run,
Hargrove led all rushers with 83 yards on 16 carries. Trey Bradford, excuse me, Bull Hargrove, Trey Bradford, Tony Phillips, plethora of backs, but Hargrove and Bradford were, the two premier backs, and we saw okay performance, but didn't really see a whole lot of productivity when they ran between the tackles. Um, is that something? I mean, obviously, it's still early in the season, and things are, obviously, you want things to improve. But is that something to be somewhat concerned about?
absolutely. I feel, you know, I I saw through the transfer portal that we brought in this back and that back. Now, one thing I thought, and I'm sure others saw it as well. In terms of our backs, they did not do a good job in blitz pickups. That's one area we need to work on. They were simply a little off their game, but they ran the ball hard. They ran hard. They made plays, and most importantly, they didn't put the pigskin on the ground, and that's vitally important for any running back. Look, get what you can, and Grambling just needs to continue to seek or put our offense in a position where our running backs can succeed. Whether it's getting them outside or running in between the tackles, because if you can't run the ball, you have a tendency to pass. And if you're not completing passes, you're three and out, three and out, three and out, and you're putting a lot of stress on your defense. So I will give credit where credit is due. The 82 yards, 2 touchdowns was great for Hargrove. He I thought he was our most effective runner
Hmm.
on yesterday, and I would like to see them build on it. Even maybe add a fullback to
Mm.
the mix so that we can put more pressure on teams in terms of running the ball. Because if we don't, some of what the play action for Miles is going to be uh, adversely affected or enhanced by our ability to run the ball.
So we've got comments. Taco 404 says, "So proud of the G-man. A win is a win, and we did that." And then he says, "Our offense just has to click better," which is a valid point. And then adds, "I wonder why they are not letting Keelan Elder or Dedrick Talbot play in games. They were good running backs and still on the team." So yeah, those are great points. And Keelan, man, how long has Keelan been playing now? He's been it's got to be about his 6th year, right? But
He
he's
was
proven
the
to be effective in certain situations. What?
he came in. Elder came in the year you and I graduated from Grambling, and for the life of me, he was such a big part of our offense. I cannot figure out why a guy that works this hard, and there are videos online of him lifting, literally
Yeah, man.
squatting seven,
Yeah.
800 pounds. He benches 450, and why we don't use him in short yardage or put him in to give us an additional option in that backfield is, I don't know. It defies logic, but coaches have decided that he can help us. When I recall him being MVP, he was
Right.
the
Yeah.
MVP of the Bayou Classic many years ago, and I just don't understand it. I don't understand if we have all these backs and they are very exceptional. Um, why not come up? I've always said we should go back to running things that these teams haven't seen, because there are a couple of teams that feature a running attack because they're really not super talented. Navy and also Air Force.
Hmm.
Man, when I tell you they run that ball, I would love for Grambling to line up in the wing T, which was very
I knew it
successful
was coming. I knew
on the on the
it.
Eddie Robinson. It was very teams haven't seen wing T probably in a long, long
I
time.
knew that. I knew it was
If
coming.
if again, if we came out in wing T, the other team would probably have to call a timeout because they wouldn't have any idea what in the world we were doing. But it was extremely effective.
You bring up the wing T. I do remember there were a couple of years during the time that Fobbs was the coach. During the Bayou Classic, I think there were instances where they actually ran the wing T, and
Yes.
they actually were pretty effective for the few times that they ran it during the Bayou Classic. But here's what I will say to that, and I don't know this for certain. There's a part of me that thinks that Dooley's familiarity with the wing T, and Mickey Joseph's familiarity with the program, historically speaking, it wouldn't surprise me at all if at some point during the course of this year that formation comes up to be something that they introduce, and it's done at a time when we probably least expect it. Now they may very well wait to do it until the Bayou Classic. I don't know. I'm just simply saying, but it would not surprise me at all if for whatever reason they decided to do that. So
Whatever it takes.
whatever it
Whatever
takes.
it takes, Ken, to be a more a diverse offense and to present different options. And if you, like I said, if you got a bunch of transfers at the running back position and you say, "Oh, we're so deep and we're so talented at the running back position," um, you got to use it. You got to
Yeah,
use it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that just makes sense. I mean, to me, it does. I do love our vertical game. I'm not saying I don't, but I think it helps everybody when we're able to move the ball effectively and consistently in many different ways. Our offense, if you got the diversity to do it and you have the talent, then do it. Don't tell me about what every. Sometimes I watch um, swag football, and it seems like everybody's running the same two
Mm.
or three formations. Let's break out of that mold and let's do some. Let's use our talent.
So let me push back on you, Griff, with that. Because some may say it's execution. It's not
It is
necessarily the play
execution.
call. It's not necessarily the play calls, not necessarily the formation. It's all in execution. What do you say to that? And the reason why
I
I say
say
that is
this.
because often as fans, we'll say something along the lines, they call a play doesn't work out, and folks will say, I hate that play, or that was a horrible play. And coaches will probably say, well, it wasn't that the play was wrong, the play call was wrong, it's execution. So what do you say to that?
I say to them, uh, one year, my first year as a head coach in Houston, Texas, my only goal was not execution was it's extremely important, and I understand that concept. But the biggest thing is getting the ball to playmakers in space and letting them show their talent. If you're not getting what you need out of your offense, then you've got to come up. That's why they have coordinators, and that's why you sit in offensive meetings for hours and hours, and you watch film for hours and hours. You've got to simply say, well, eventually we will succeed at what we're doing can cost you a game or two. My thing is, why don't you do whatever works? If it works for your team, then that is called being successful and being objective and being realistic about what you need to do. We have yet to run a reverse yet. When are we going to
Mm.
put in a reverse? That's why a lot of teams like over pursue, like Jackson State, they were flying to the football yesterday. You got to use that against them. What is the nemesis for guys who are running to the football like they were? Well, reverses. And once we put in a reverse, that will keep that defensive end and the backside of the defense from over pursuing like they were. It's just something I think will work. But yes, I do understand, Ken. You are right. We gotta take the plays. But it seems like, Ken, even sometimes you can get. We all do. We we get lazy in our uh in what we do. We have to continue to get better. We have to continue to use uh the talent we have in different ways.
So speaking of talent, we talked about Crawley. We talked about the performance of the running backs. Let's talk about the receiving core real quick. And look, I think it's safe to say, if we can ever get, because look, I still think that Miles has he's got some games. He's going to come through. He's going to come through at some point. And in that, some folks say, maybe he's still trying to gel and trying to figure Dooley out. They're still trying to mesh and come on the same page, which is fine. But I'm here to tell you, we have a receiving core with Javon Robinson, J.R. Waters, uh, Jacoby Belazar. We've got a core of receivers that can get it done. And if there's ever a time, or should I say, the time is coming when they're going to be hell to deal with if if Miles can get to the point to where he's got the time to throw. Some say he may need to get rid of that ball a little faster. That there may be some element of truth to that. Some have even said, well, maybe they should conduct some more intermediate routes to where it gives them an opportunity to get that ball out faster. But I am here to tell you, we've got a core of receivers that when the opportunity presents itself, they could be problematic for a lot of opposing defenses. Your thoughts on that and on the receivers?
I love the diversity of our receivers, and I love the fact that they have proven themselves as dependable. I mean, they're making plays. We have 2 to 3 guys that are literally Javon. You had 5 catches on yesterday. How even Howard Nichols had a made a substantial contribution. Waters,
Mm-hmm.
Hargrove, Harris, um, Belazar, uh, even Knighton had 2 catches,
Mm-hmm.
and to see the ball spread around that much, the fact that he has this type of talent around him can only enhance what we can be doing from an offensive standpoint. And we just what we have to do is maybe give him a little bit more time, and then I think also we should go to an offense that's not so vertical heavy, that we
Mm.
can get some guys out in flat 3-5 yard uh uh patterns that we can be successful at. And I believe these guys are capable of breaking. They certainly look stout, and some of our receivers look strong, and as if they're capable of being playmakers in terms of yardage after catch. So I you know what? We're 3-1, and Ken, you and I discussed the fact that they haven't played their best football yet. The sky is the limit once we put together a complete game offensively and a complete game on defense. I'm one of the people who I see the potential, and I know you do too. And all we need to do is to put it together on every Saturday. Take care of the football, continue to have a high number of takeaways, or at least make teams earn whatever they get, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown. No big plays. If we eliminate the big plays, we're solid on both. I believe we're solid defensively, and I believe offensively with the weapons we have, we can be a complete ball club. Well, I didn't know. It's a surprise to me that we're putting it together this quickly. I was thinking, okay, we'll see how this season comes, and but I really anticipated us being pretty. I thought we would definitely be in the upper echelon on next year, but next year is now. We just need to continue to get better.
I agree. I so one thing that we talked about earlier, and I want you guys to know. So look, for those of you who are watching, do me a favor, hit the like button, please. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And let's get the algorithms to start working in our favor. We're still up and coming. We're still growing, and we want you guys support. So, like I said, go to go to the 1901podcast.com. Look, it doesn't cost you anything to enter your email address and subscribe to our newsletter. And you also have the opportunity to make a small donation of any amount, whether it be a donation of any amount or an actual monthly donation to make you a member. We'll appreciate it. But we need you to hit that like button. Let's get the algorithms working in our favor, and so forth. Taco 404, thank you so much for your participation. Hey, Ms. Howard, I see you. Thank you, ma'am, for taking a few minutes to join us. And make sure you spread the word and share this and let everybody know we're on live. Uh, Typically, we wouldn't be on this early, and this is I'm gonna just go ahead and keep it clear with you. So I was texting with texting Griff yesterday at the game. I said, Griff, we're gonna go live tomorrow around 7-8 o'clock, and Griff was like, cool. So it wasn't until I realized I was literally making my trip. I was literally leaving. I was like, wait a minute. My wife is out of town. She's in New Orleans for a wedding. I got to pick her up around 6 or 7 o'clock. I forgot I gotta pick her up. So we will not be making it a habit to come on this early. So just let you guys know that we're gonna try to make this a habit to kind of recap the game every Sunday night. If not Sunday, maybe Monday. It all depends on travel and so forth. But we do want to set a schedule and even, of course, find some time during the course of the week to do an actual preview show going into whatever game where we're playing before that week. So I forgot I had to go pick my wife up from the airport later on this evening. So anyway, Grip. So we talked about it briefly, and you've been pretty consistent in addressing this, particularly since the season started, about the penalties. And I can't find. I'm looking for. I don't know what the call was or what the count was for penalties, but you still found that to be somewhat problematic with respect to penalties. Talk about that.
Absolutely. What it does is it stalls out your offense. It makes you off and takes the flow out of your play calling. When you're in 3rd and 2 and you have a illegal motion or legal formation or some kind of other procedure call, it literally makes you have to divert from plays you would normally run on 3rd and short, and it definitely decreases your chances of success in terms of the off the the forward progress. If our offense ever wants to find continuity and consistency, it's going to be based on the fact that we're able to put chunk plays together, short attempts together to pick up first downs. But you can't do that when you're constantly in 3rd and 12, or you go from 3rd and 2 to 3rd and 9. Those are all low percentage first down opportunities. And the big thing with our offense is, you want to have sustained drives that take time off the clock. That shortens the game for you, which is what most time of possession is the name of the game for most offenses. Okay, time of possession, keeping your defense off the field for 6 to 10 minutes a quarter. When you look at it, you're talking about a 60-minute game. If you can control the ball for for 45 minutes a game, or let's say 48 minutes a game, more than likely you dominated that game.
Right. Hold on,
Technically,
Griff.
if
So
you
so
had
I've been looking for it all over the places. It's right in front of me. So granted, you said you had concerns about Grambling and penalties. According to this, only 4 penalties for last night. 4 penalties for 25 yards. Jackson State had 11 for 111.
yes, they
So
did, and,
so
and
so
it
now
killed
maybe now there's never a good time for a penalty, of course.
right.
But I think given what we've seen of this team, I think last week and the week before, this is kind of like a vast improvement.
It is. It is a
Okay.
vast improvement. But, I would love to see Grambling continue to just be proficient in terms of keeping those penalties down and improve, and just getting to a point where they're able to play mistake-free football as often as possible. That would be
Yeah.
nice
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
that can happen. But yes, it was
Yeah.
good to see. I knew they had less penalties than last week, because
Right.
last week
Yeah,
was
that was ridiculous. Yeah, yeah, that was they
it
they
was
they had
bad.
something like 8 penalties in the first half, and I guess you could say they got better because they only had 2 the second half, which is fine. But
Right.
that I will say that was kind of like the one thing that Coach Joseph openly expressed his displeasure about, and I think it's safe to say that they were able to come through. Okay,
Last year
good.
as well, we were very undisciplined when it came to penalties. Oh my God, last year was a disaster. But yeah, I thought I thought it was improved, Ken. And as long as we continue to keep the penalties to a minimal, we'll get better. We'll be better.
Right.
No
Okay.
doubt about it.
Okay.
No doubt about it.
So we've gotten all of the X's and O's out. Grambling won. We're happy. They're 3-1 for the first time since 2017, and the last time that team that is the team that won a SWAC championship and unfortunately fell to North Carolina A&T, led by head coach at the time, Rod Broadway, in the Celebration Bowl. But it was still a phenomenal season nonetheless. Okay, not saying it's going to happen this year, but then again, I'm not saying it's not going to happen this year. All right. So anyway, but this is where I'm going to get petty. All right, because now. I got some things to say about J State. Now, you guys know me. I don't even try to hide. Sometimes facts are just facts. And I have referred to whenever Grambling plays J State, I refer Grambling as Jackson State's daddy. I don't think there's no other school. Put like this. I had this conversation. With all of the SWAC schools in play, Grambling leads the overall head-to-head series against every single SWAC institution, with the exception of Southern, I believe. And I think even that, because the people, they like to bring up the head-to-head since it was the Bayou Classic. And then there is the historical head-to-head matchup. And if I'm not mistaken, I got to find what the stat is. But I think that while Southern may lead the overall, I think it's not by much. Someone maybe 5-6 years or something like that. Whereas I know the Bayou Classic, I think that is something like maybe 1 or 2 games in the Bayou Classic. But and unfortunately, that's all due to that unfortunate 8-game losing streak, which we won't go back down that road, but still, but with respect to Jackson State, the reason why I want to harp on this, and while they may very well be hurting right now, I'm gonna just tell you now, I'm gonna dig that damn knife in there and I'm gonna twist it a little bit. I want it to hurt a little bit, because let me show you guys what someone said on social media last night. Now, this came from KC 1400 Media. Now he goes, this is the media team that is they do a good job. They pretty much are all things Jackson State. Don't want to take anything with them, but pick anything away from them. They do great work there. But this is what they said on, someone shared this with me. That was a good old fashioned ass whipping. No excuses. Grambling was just the better team tonight. We rarely ever win in the hole, and I never would have dreamed that we turned the ball over 6 times. You're not winning a game, gifting the team 21 points. Got to get over it fast and move on. Now, Grambling was just a better team tonight. We rarely ever win in the hole, and let's get this right now. Okay, let's make this real clear. I don't know why they think that Grambling was just a better team, or no, we rarely ever win in the whole. Jackson State, let's get something right now. Look, what you said is true, but it's still kind of like I hate to use this term, an alternative fact, because the truth of the matter is you rarely ever win, period, whenever you play Grambling. Whether you win it ain't got to be in the hole. I got stats. You don't win when we play at our other home over there off I-20. We call it Jackson East, and we call it Jackson East for a reason. So let's not split hairs here talking about we rarely ever win. You rarely ever win when we play you in Jackson. And the thing is, we've tapped that behind when we're in Jackson, even when we've had down years. That's just how bad this has gotten. Okay? You think I'm lying? Look. It's simple math. Grambling is just simply greater than Jackson State. Whether you play us in the hole or whether you play us in Jackson, this was the 70th matchup. We've beaten you 45 times. You don't just, all of those wins didn't just come in the hole. They came in the form of I think we SWAC championship games. We won some SWAC championship games. We beat you. We beat you over there in Jackson in Jackson East. Come on, man. Grambling is your daddy. If Grambling is your daddy, say it. Repeat after me. Grambling is my daddy. Grambling is my daddy. Look, I'm telling you. So it needs to hurt. This is just pathetic. This is just absolutely pathetic. I thought Jackson State football was a storied football program, and it is. It's just that they can't get it done when they play us. Plain and simple.
You know what I think it is? I think they confused us with Southern.
That's maybe right. That's right, Katrina. That's right. In the words of the guy in movie Life, I'm that baby's pappy. I'm sorry, Griff.
I had one guy last night refer to Grambling as a bottom feeder. Now, I don't know what historical perspective he was going with, but I have often told graduates of Jackson State, we have beaten you all like a Mexican piñata for years. And they make pretend this is a new concept, I think, because they had a little success in the last 3 years or the last since the pandemic. And they just, I don't know, maybe COVID made them forget that you all have literally, I remember at one point we hadn't lost to Jackson in Mississippi in 12. We were 12-0 in Mississippi or something like that. But we actually had an outstanding record just going back to the 90s against Jackson all the way up to modern day. So yeah, they were pretty delusional about that, but I understand. You kind of cleared it up for me, Ken, when you said fan actually is short for fandom.
Fanatic. Yeah. So fanatic. Yeah, that's what it is.
Or fanatic. Yeah. So it is what it is. If that's how they feel, that's how they feel. But just know, we are more than your equal. We are the team that you struggle mightily with for the duration of this series.
Hey, we look, if Jackson State is Superman, Grambling is the kryptonite.
Correct.
Plain and simple. Plain and simple. You are not. I'm just telling you here. This. Look, and I am not. Look, I am very much a Grambling man. Don't get me wrong. But I'm gonna just simply say this now. Jackson State, you are not on our level. You are not. You are not. It's just inherent. Do you realize that you could beat us 10, 15, even 20 straight years and you still wouldn't have the series lead over us? Do you understand just how dominant that is? I mean, truth is truth.
Facts are facts.
Facts are facts. And this is just simple math. Grambling is just greater than Jackson State. Point blank, period. Yes. Griff, we're about to wrap it up. Close your closing thoughts on just your closing thoughts, man. Like I said, it was a great weekend, very festive. But before we wrap it up, what are your final thoughts?
I think it's good to see Grambling back competitive in the SWAC, to see that we are doing good things and have the potential to be even better going forward. I think this is a huge boost to the team's morale and open the possibility up that we very well could be in the SWAC championship this year. And the coaching staff and the players, along with the staff, they're doing a good job. We just need to continue to expand on what we're doing, fix the few things that need fixing, and let's go into next week with the understanding that we have to play a complete game if we don't want to take a step back. Let's go into this game, this State Fair Classic, get a W, and that's gonna even put us even further along in terms of development and meeting the team goals.
You know what? Real quick. I've got a link, you guys. If for those of you who are still watching the show, and this is just something we're gonna do because I told you this is live and we are open. And at some point, as you guys kind of get used to how we do things here, you rub off of us, we rub off of you, and we'll kind of get some synergy in all of this. But there is a link right now in the chat. If any of you want to log in, or just click on that link. You don't have to show your face. You can very well come in, and if you want to make a comment, you're more than welcome to do so before we shut it down, if there's anyone who's willing to do so. So click on that link, the StreamYard link. You can come into the queue, and if you want something to say, by all means, you can simply do so. Here are some here are some things I'd like to say about last night. And this isn't necessarily, again, we're talking about the football game, but these are just some observations that I had for the time that I was there yesterday in Grambling. Let me first of all say this. It was really, really, really something special to be able, because I didn't go to the Tuskegee game, but it was really something special, man, to be on that campus, to watch a Grambling game under the lights. I cannot express just how much I enjoyed that. I understand the reasons why they didn't do it previously, given some encounters that we had. But man, look, and I was really emphatic at one point, either last year or 2 years ago, that it made absolutely no sense to play a September game at 2:00 in the day. And but it was really, really something just really special to be able to see a game played in Grambling underneath the lights. And I'll admit, I missed it. I missed it, and it was just really just something really special for me to be able to watch that game at nighttime. Secondly, comment to the band. Great show. And I will say this also, man, you guys don't need to go away from that entrance. That classic entrance where you guys come out from the end zone, and on each side of the field, man, that goes back to way back in the days of Hutch. I'm just a casual observer, man. Please don't go away from that. I missed that, and it was great to see it again. Okay, and that's pretty much it. But the atmosphere was just festive, and man, it was just really something. Let me see what we got just before we go. See, Emmett Jones, the turf looked great. Don't know if it was a sellout. No, it wasn't a sellout. The official attendance, I believe, was 19,000, I think 58. The official attendance of Robinson Stadium, based upon publications, they say it's 19,600. So if that's the case, then we would just a little under 600 folks tickets sold for it to become an official sellout. Even though I do recall that game back in 1994 was played all going to like 25,000 people, but that was something in and of itself. But anyway, man, it was a great show, folks. Katrina asked me to put the link out there. Go to the 1901 podcast, make a donation, but also feel free to put your email address in there and receive our official newsletter. We'll be sending a newsletter out at some point in the very near future, and which will contain some additional information and so forth. And by all means, continue to support us. We're growing. Spread the word. Go to the 1901podcast.com. You can visit us on all of the social media platforms at the 1901 podcast. And join on our social media platforms. And like I said, and over time, we'll make sure we'll include special guests. We'll allow you guys to come in and say a few words. And like I said, working on it as we speak. We'll get the athletic director, Dr. Travion Scott, and even get our illustrious president on to Dr. Lamel to come and join us as well to share some words. So, okay. So for Thomas Griffin, I'm Ken Rashad. Guys, thank you for taking a few minutes to join us. Go Grambling, and we will see you next time. God bless you.